getting it exactly right, ordering just enough copies to never have to turn away a customer but not getting stuck with anything, is like the bullseye of bullseyes. Like, you could never do that. And if you do that one time in a month, you're going to feel like a genius.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. Highs they're approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challenges do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. It gets hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Del Bush.
Dal.
Del.
W. Dal Bush.
Why, hello, Dal, and a good week of comics to you.
And a good comics week to you too, Patrick.
Thank you. I would like to start this episode picking up on a subject we were talking about last week. And the overall theme to this is, even when we have a hit, we don't know how to have a hit. And I mean specifically Godzilla vs. America, Chicago.
Yeah, let's talk about Godzilla versus Chicago.
So at the time we recorded last week, the book was on the stands and selling rapidly.
Yes.
Since then, it has completely sold out from IDW. To the best of my knowledge, they have not announced the new printing.
They have not. And I'd be a little surprised if they did, despite the success of it, because it's
niche.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're selling it specifically to one market, and Chicago's a big market, but I don't know how many people in, like, Texas are going to want a copy of Godzilla versus Chicago. And the thing that I've mentioned to a couple of people is, like, if you're looking for this book, do not look in Chicago shops.
Yeah,
They're
find it somewhere else.
Like, we will be carrying things like Godzilla versus LA and Godzilla versus Kansas and Godzilla versus
Spokane.
Yeah, Guam. They're not going to sell that great. They will probably sell to a few people who have ties to that region of the world and people who are just huge Godzilla fans and want to see what's happening.
They'll sell
people
fine,
who like the creators involved, because there might be a huge creator that's there's a bunch of people that probably about Godzilla versus Chicago all over the U.S. because they like Ryan Brown and Caroline Cash and Tim Seeley and
Clayton Daniels and Mike Costa.
And
I don't know, was Crank in there, or Kevin Knipstein?
But in general, you're going to have a lot of stores that carry token copies and probably just sit on them for a little bit. So if you check out a website for a store that ships out of, like, Montana, they're probably just sitting on copies of that book for cover price and will happily sell them to you for cover price. Chicago shops, long gone. Stop calling, stop emailing.
So we ordered what we thought was aggressively.
Yeah, for an $8 book.
Yeah, for an $8 book. And we really toyed with the decision of doing the exclusive cover. We talked about that last week, so we're not going to get back into that. But anyway, we ordered what we thought was a good number. And then as it got closer, we're like, no, that's not enough. Let's get more.
Yeah, I mean, some of it was, I ordered it at FOC, and then briefly thereafter kind of thought, like, we're going to want this for a while, and I don't think the number we ordered is for a while. The number we ordered is, like, for a few weeks. We want to, I would like to have this, like, through the summer. People who, aren't going out to comic shops in February and March will probably be hitting shops in May, and they're not going to know that it's a new book or an old book. They're going to see Godzilla versus Chicago and go, hey, I like Godzilla. I live in Chicago. This sounds like a good thing to buy.
Sure.
So I ordered some more, and then you, Patrick, had been working the weekend before the book went on sale, and we're getting a lot of people calling and asking about it.
Yeah. So we even ordered more. Now, traditionally, conservatively, if you will, if there is a Godzilla comic, let's say Godzilla Heist, or whatever the other Godzilla book is out right now.
That's the only one.
Thought that was
Skate and Die, I think, was the one before that.
What do we order for the shelf for those books?
Like 4? I mean, Mothra just came out this week, and I like Sophie Campbell, but I think we ordered for the shelf across 2 covers, like 4 to 6 copies. It was not a lot.
Sure. And if Godzilla Prime is in it, meaning Godzilla himself, not that many more.
Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater, which was a pretty big crossover hit for us with Godzilla. People who don't normally buy Godzilla books were adding that. People specifically joined our subscription service to get Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater because it was such a cool concept. I think we still, across 2 main covers, 25 to 30 copies. Like, probably not much more than that.
And that was a book that you had pushed.
Yeah, I mean, and we had people coming in asking for that.
Yeah.
So that was, previous to this, what we would consider like the upper tier of what we would consider ordering for a Godzilla book. And even then, 25 to 30 copies of issue 3, we probably still have it on the shelf.
Yeah, I think
we do.
Yeah, we definitely do.
So it didn't sell out, and it's been a few months.
This is a situation where you and I each have been doing this job for decades.
Ever.
And it still makes me feel like I have no idea how this industry works or what I'm doing. Because we ordered about 200 copies of Godzilla vs. Chicago.
Across multiple orders.
Yeah. And completely sold out.
Yeah.
So one of my mistakes was looking at this like we were ordering 200 copies.
Correct.
We weren't. We were ordering 100 copies because
100 sets of 2.
Yeah, we split our orders identically for each cover because it's Ryan Brown or Tim Seeley.
Right, and they're cool covers.
Yeah. Everybody bought one of each cover. Would have bought more. We had limits. We talked about that last week as well, but every single person bought both covers.
Yeah. Very few people were like, I just want to read the story. They were like, oh, these are 2 cool Chicago covers with Chicago references. I want both of them.
Did that even occur to you as a possibility?
No. I mean,
me neither.
Look, when we were ordering this, I was afraid that people would look at $8 and go, I don't want that.
Right?
This thing sold multiples of what we sell for Tim Seeley books, Caroline Cash books, Ryan Brown books, Ezra McDaniels books. Like,
look, we didn't order this many of Lucky Devils #1, and we had Ryan and Charles.
Yes.
Actually, you know what we did? We ordered exactly that amount.
But we still have copies of those.
Yeah. And we also had both of the creators in for a signing and didn't move as many.
And to be clear...
And what was that, a $4 book?
Yeah, $4 book. And to be clear, you can over-order on things, even stuff that sells well that you're excited about. We still got copies of stuff like Absolute Superman #1 and Absolute Wonder Woman 2 and 3 and 4. And that's because we had the ability, thanks to DC, of stocking up really high. But even then, we thought, like, okay, well, this is going to carry us through, like, the first 5 issues.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of those Absolute Wonder Woman 2, 3s, and 4s are going to end up in the back issues. Like, I love that book. We cannot seem to get enough people into it. Godzilla vs. Chicago, my fear was the same thing. That if we ordered, like, 200 or 300 copies, or God forbid, 800 to 1,000 for the exclusive cover, is like, okay, what if the limit on this is like 50 or 60?
Yeah.
Like, then we're screwed. You can't return them. We didn't get them at like a lower cost so that we could afford to not sell a bunch and still be profitable on it. Shit, if we'd done the exclusive cover, we would have had to sell it for way more than cover price. And then if it hadn't clicked, then we would have been completely boned.
This is a lot like Absolute Batman #1, where we ordered a crazy high number for our store.
Sure.
And then because so many other stores were out of it, we wound up selling out of it in a week.
Yeah, we still had to. I think we had it for a little bit. I don't think it, I think we were out of it for about a week between the first print and when the second print came in. There was like a week where we were completely out of it.
It didn't last us 2 weeks. I know that much.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they went back to press quickly and aggressively. So I think there was probably like a 1 week window where we were just completely out, and then we got the new printing, and then that sold out right away. So we had to do even more of the next print. So yeah, like in retrospect, it's easy to say, like, I don't know, we should order 500 copies, but there was no version of this where I thought in the beginning we could sell 500 copies.
Yeah, definitely not.
But now it's like, yeah, I mean, through the rest of the year, we could probably sell 500 copies of that book.
Yeah, and honestly,
if they go back to press, I don't know, man. Maybe we order a couple hundred copies. I don't know.
Day of release, we had people coming in saying, yeah, another comic store sent us to you to get this. Like, stores are out of it day of.
Yeah.
And you cannot anticipate. And look, people that don't necessarily shop with us, they come in on that Saturday looking for it, and I have to say, no, we're out of it. And I feel like an idiot because the book came out 3 days ago.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people who this is interesting to them and they found out about through social media or some other coverage. They don't usually buy comics. They're aware of us as a comic shop and they just go to get it. And then we have to say in a sort of exhausted way, no, we don't have copies of it. No, we don't know if we're going to be able to get more copies of it. This is like the 400th time I've had to say this over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, the disappointing part of that is to the number of subscribers it had to be to. You had to say that too?
Yeah.
When they had more chances than anybody
We were
to get on board.
pretty heavy about promoting that book through
Yeah.
our normal promotional channels.
Yeah.
And yeah, the number of people who are just like, oh, I just heard about this. Like, why did you just hear about this? At least one subscriber I talked to did mention it was like a teachable moment for him, because now he knows that he should check these emails, and when he sees these things, he should pre-order them instead of just maybe opening the email, and then if he does open the email, not doing anything about it.
Yeah. It's frustrating because it makes me feel like we're bad at this.
This is always going to happen,
selling
though.
hundreds of copies of a book.
I mean, yeah, this is always going to happen in comics, though. Like, getting it exactly right, ordering just enough copies to never have to turn away a customer but not getting stuck with anything, is like the bullseye of bullseyes. Like, you could never do that. And if you do that one time in a month, you're going to feel like a genius. There is no version of this where we were going to, out of thin air, pull out a number and then, like, there's things you can't ever assume. Like you said with Absolute Batman, the idea that another store would be out of it and we would suddenly have their customers that we would have to deal with as well as our own
isn't
part of our calculation.
Yeah, you can't order your books like that.
Yeah, we don't add on 7% of what we thought we were going to sell because it's like, well, people are going to come from other stores when they sell out. What if they don't sell out? What if that store has a ton of copies?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't know what they're going to order. So yeah, it sucks, but I never feel like we're bad at our jobs because, again, we both independently up the numbers.
Yeah.
Which means we both independently realized in advance of social media coverage, news coverage, promotion from the publisher, that this was going to find an audience. There were going to be people looking for it above and beyond Godzilla comics fans and comic fans in general. So yeah, we didn't go up high enough, but I mean, the other side of that is we don't have infinite resources.
Right.
Like, this isn't a situation where money doesn't matter and we can just say, oh, 700 copies. Like, no, we have to pay for those when we get them. So even if we could sell 700 copies in a year, I can't wait a year to recoup the money that we just paid out.
That's not the way commerce works.
Yeah, that's way too long I'd love to have, hundreds of thousands of dollars just in the bank so we could take a gamble on stuff. And if it takes a year, well, who cares? Like, we'll get the money back eventually. It's like, eventually doesn't work for my timeline.
Nor mine.
No.
Yeah.
So I do hear you, though.
It was discouraging, and especially the longer after the book, the more people coming in saying, do you have this?
Yeah. Because, I mean, they're just finding out about it. And they'll find out about it for a while. And again, if IDW decides to go back to press on it, we will order a ton. Not literally a ton, but, hundreds of pounds worth.
Saturday, during the successful Andrea Bell signing, I had to stop everything and scrub every image of the Godzilla book from the store because too many
flipped
people
around signage.
Yeah, because
great.
People would point to that. Like, first I cleared off the image on the payment screen,
the customer display,
which was that book.
Sure.
So no one would see that. And then people would point and say, do you have this book? And I'm like, that's Cap Volstagg. I'm like, oh no, they're pointing to the flyer that's on the front counter. Let me flip that.
The only time anyone's ever seen the flyer on the counter. Somebody was in the other day and they were asking when Absolute Flash was coming out. I'm like, and I looked at the front counter because I printed out a thing. It says the exact release date of Absolute Flash. Like, it looks like March 19th.
It's March 19th.
Yes. And they were like, oh, I didn't see that. I was like, it's okay. Nobody
If only we had Godzilla vs. Chicago on the upcoming subscriptions thing. So weird. So weird. Well, let's shift gears to it. Success. The Andrea Bell signing was for Crumble, the book written by Meredith McLaren from Black Cloak and drawn by Andrea Bell, of this year's I Love You But Have Chosen Comics t-shirts, which, by the way, came in today.
As we're recording.
So while they have not been unpacked, by the time this goes up, if you're a subscriber, your shirt will be in your spot.
Yep.
If you are local, you have gotten a call, and hopefully we'll get enough time the next 2 days to process all the mail order ones to go.
Yeah, I assume. I don't think there were, like, a lot of the shirts are for local people, either subscribers or local customers. We've got, I think, a handful of online orders that would be shipped out.
Yeah.
So hopefully not too many. But we're getting through them.
So it was Andrea Bell's idea, because it's a book about a bakery, to have a baker involved in the event.
Britt Baker. DMD.
Yeah, giving free oral checkups.
Sure. I mean, you eat a bunch of cookies and stuff, you're going to need your teeth checked.
That's right. And she's not doing anything right now, right?
I think she's got some free time.
So Camille was on a Q&A for Queen of the Ring.
Did they ask why she doesn't work at AEW anymore?
And somebody asked her what's going on with AEW.
What's going on with AEW?
And
I think about it every week.
she stone-faced,
Uh-huh.
said nothing.
What?
So one of her co-stars said, I'm going to answer on behalf of my client. No comment.
Mark Sterling?
No, it's just whoever was.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just somebody else from the movie.
Sure.
But yeah,
I wonder what happened.
I don't know.
Someday she's going to say, there's going to be some podcast.
I don't know.
She's
Why,
going to be
why
like,
did
I'm
Cody
gonna,
leave,
I'm
Dal?
going to burn some bridges.
Why did Cody
I'll
leave?
burn a couple bridges. I got
There's
time.
specific reasons. We'll never know.
I think Cody
So-
will write a book at some point, and we will find out. There will be a tell-all biography 10 years down the line.
Andrea is a very smart creator, and she always wants to do something a little bit special for an event.
Sure.
Like we already have some good ideas for her next book that comes out in the fall.
For one of her previous books, The Leak, we made sure that there is a leak in our front window constantly during heavy rainfall this past week. It was a huge
Still
thing.
there, yeah, because we're constantly trying to sell that book.
You're welcome, Andrew.
So she said, if only we could hook up with a local bakery. I'm like, oh, I got a guy.
Mhm.
She's like, yeah, I figured you would. That's why I mentioned it. So we talked to our good friend Ian from Move Along Coffee, who in fact works with a baker called Fen.
Mhm.
And Fen and
You know a guy, Ian, who knows a guy.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
do you have a guy? Like you got a guy that gets you guys? That's from How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
So Fen had made, and Ian had dropped off, just these amazing baked goods. Donuts, pastries, cookies. The cookies were snickerdoodle or cardamom flavored. And like right away, I don't think either of those are anything you get excited for. They were amazing. People raved about the
Awesome.
cardamom cookies.
That's great.
The donuts were either mango, strawberry, or lemon lime.
Uh-huh.
I got texts that said, this is the best donut I ever had. This is a life-changing donut.
Wow.
Multiple texts
life-changing
from
donut.
people. Now, I did not
Hopefully
get a
for the
donut.
better, not for the worse.
Because the point of the baked goods was if you buy the book, you get a baked good with it.
It's a good treat.
It wasn't just given away. But also, I had been trying to schedule a Girl Scout cookie day as well.
Mhm.
And I decided, well, let's just, Girl Scout cookies are baked goods, right?
Cookie day. Let's do it.
So let's put it all together.
As Sean and I once said, it's a good day for a cookie day.
So it was all of those things at the same time. And it was kind of the perfect storm of an event because Crumble is a book that was made for the audience of Girl Scouts.
Mhm.
And these were daisies, but still, that counts. Daisy is the
Looks like the Cub Scout to Girl Scouts.
it is one, it's Daisy, then something, then Girl Scout.
Okay.
There's like 3 levels.
Okay. So these are like the interns.
These are the I think you said the other day, single A club.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the Girl
Everything's gotta be
Scouts
baseball terms with that.
wind
Wow.
up buying Crumble.
Sure.
We sold out of Crumble. We sold out of Crumble that day.
Yeah.
We didn't sell out during the signing. We had 1 copy left.
Uh-huh.
And then Tim Seeley and his family came in looking for Crumble and we had 1 left.
Yep.
So to me, that's a success.
Yeah, that's the bullseye and the bullseye,
Yeah.
where it's like you didn't turn anybody away,
Right?
and you didn't have any left over. Although, obviously, for a perennial like a graphic novel, maybe like to have a few left over. So
Yeah,
we
but-
will be restocking.
Yeah, but that's the point. We can restock it. It wasn't immediately sold out from the
No.
publisher.
Unlike Helen of Windhorn hardcover, which is the second of 2 hardcovers from Dark Horse this year that we ordered what I thought was high based on the number of pre-orders we had. And then I wanted to stock it for our front table, but it was immediately sold out at Dark Horse on day of release.
The second hardcover, but the 3rd book, right? You're counting the Beast of Burden omnibus.
Beast of Burden was a different thing, although that also super sucks.
Yeah.
That was just the thing we were going to restock for the shelf because it's, the Beast of Burden softcover omnibus, all that stuff back in print at a good price, out of print, or like between printings, unavailable for reorder currently. So
What was the first Dark Horse book?
Bowling with Corpses by Mike
Oh, yeah.
Mignola.
Yeah, that
the
was
original hardcover.
unavailable immediately.
Yeah, literally day of release. Like it came out for us on a Wednesday.
And that was the book that I accused you of ordering too many of.
You didn't accuse me, but you kind of you were a little snarky about it being what you thought was too high a number. And then when I tried to defend Mike Mignola as a creator, you were like, yeah, but any more? I'm like, yes. People still like Mike Mignola.
I did not necessarily subscribe to Mike Mignola's relevancy with original projects because of all the stuff he writes for
Sure.
Dark Horse doesn't move
Yeah.
the needle for us at all.
Yeah. I mean, my thinking on it was it's something he's writing and drawing. It's basically Hellboy, just without Hellboy in it. It's all the folklore stuff people like from
The Goon.
from classic Hellboy stuff. But he's writing and drawing it, and it's original, and it's a hardcover, and I think it's under like $25. So I thought, like, this is probably going to find an audience. And it did way higher and way faster than I thought.
Yeah, we sold out day of.
And like people coming in again that we'd never seen before. That were just like, do you have Bowling with Corpses? And people keep asking about it. And it's like, it has been on back order for like 2 months now. I hate it. I'm so mad about it. Like, it kills me that we can't get a book like that back in. And now we're in the same boat with Helena Winterhorn, which we may not have sold out of by the time we're talking about this. But we only had like 3 copies left on Wednesday night. And I was already like, oh, I'll order like 6 more for the front table. They're on back order. I don't know if we're going to get them. I don't know when we're going to get them. And that's, congrats to the creators, but no thanks to the publisher that didn't print enough. And now with the tariffs and stuff, who knows when that's going to come back in and in what quantity and in what price
Do you
points.
think people at Dark Horse are sitting there doing their podcast saying,
Why didn't we print enough?
all of these retailers didn't order enough? It was in all of our emails.
Sure.
It was in all of our catalogs, and they didn't have enough advance orders. So, we ordered a conservative overrun, and we were out of them immediately.
I guess the difference in that scenario, and I mean, it's a joke, but in that scenario, the thing is the lowest cost per unit is always at the highest point in the supply chain. It would cost a customer a lot to have a lot of copies available if they needed it.
Yeah.
Conversely, it costs the publisher the least to have them, which is why the way this usually works is the publisher prints a lot for maybe several years if they project out what they think the lifespan of this thing is. And if Dark Horse wasn't thinking about this book needing to be available when the Supergirl movie comes out in like a year or two by Tom King and Bill Quisevely, they were insane. So this thing being unavailable, like at the distribution level on day one, is like, there's no reason for that. Like, it is insane that Bowling with Corpses, I can almost sort of see it because that's an original property and who knows. But like, this is reprint material.
Also,
Like,
as far as Bowling with Corpses
how is
go,
it that quickly out of print?
in my head, we didn't do nearly as well with the recent Mike Mignola hardcover art book. As
We didn't, that's true.
Yeah, and we still have several on hand.
That was one I definitely thought we would do better because, again, the audience for Michael Mignola is largely stuff that he's drawing, not just stuff that he's writing, because like you said, he writes a lot of stuff and most people don't care. And some of it we don't print stock
So
for
that
stuff.
was in my head.
Sure.
And I don't even know that I fully understood what Bowling with Corpses was.
So
Doesn't that sound like an art book?
Bowling with Corpses sounds like a ska death metal crossover band.
Yeah.
I would not go see them at the Empty Album.
You wouldn't see either of those genres respectively.
No, I mean specifically the fictional band Bowling with Corpses.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I hear they're doing a set at Sub T.
Well, you can just walk over. It's a couple blocks away.
It's true.
Yeah. Are they upstairs or downstairs, though?
Upstairs for the ska part, downstairs for the death metal part.
So, yes, the Andrea Bell signing went off pretty well. We do have Gabby Mendez this weekend for Speak Up Santiago.
Godzilla's favorite book.
Godzilla's favorite book. And Godzilla
Huge
was
fan.
so happy to be asked to do a video for it. And he did.
When you asked him, I believe he said, "Nada."
When I said, do you want to do it? He said, no problem. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. That works. You're welcome. You're welcome. Godzilla, can you do this? You're welcome. Godzilla will not be appearing on this podcast. Godzilla is actually currently hanging out in Howling Pages. He wanted a little change of scenery.
Sure.
Yeah. I went to the Godzilla vs. Chicago art show hosted by the Seventh Corner Gallery on Friday, and it is at Howling Pages. They've got a little gallery space in the back.
Cool.
Novel idea.
I think it's a smart idea for any shop to do it. Just don't plan on winning an Eisner Award from it.
And for the quality of art and artists that were there, I would say the highlight would be meeting Tater Tot Seeley, who sponsored a shelf at Challengers.
Yes.
Yeah.
A good dog.
I got to handle that dog a lot.
I hear that dog's a handful.
Yeah. Dal got to FaceTime the dog.
I did. I remoted into the event specifically to spend some time with Tater Tot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the ambient noise of the room was so loud that Patrick couldn't hear my frequent and loudly stated demand to put dog in phone. And instead, he kept showing me the dog on the phone, which was insufficient.
I thought because
put dog in phone.
You were gesturing just like that.
Put dog in phone.
And I thought you were saying put the dog on the phone.
No, in phone.
So I was showing you the dog on the phone.
Send dog to me.
Jenny Frizen said she had never ever seen you that happy.
It was a delightful dog.
Yeah. Were there tears? Were you weeping with joy?
No.
Okay.
It's overcome, but I didn't let it. Yeah, I didn't let it out.
You think you would weep if the dog was, if you were there in person?
No, because I wouldn't want to frighten the dog. I wouldn't want to lose that connection with the dog by being overly emotional and weeping, because I think the dog would misinterpret that and maybe be a little skittish.
Would you try to steal the dog?
Try?
Okay, would you steal the dog?
Jenny can come by with the dog whenever she wants.
You mean Jenny can come by to get the dog?
I don't. Dogs.
Thing of words.
Who knows with dogs where they are? I don't know. I can't say.
Dad, where's my dog? In phone. Dog in phone.
Put dog in phone.
Dog in phone.
Put dog in phone.
Oh my goodness. So I want to. I got a couple of things to read here, but one of them I've been sitting on
a prepared statement
for a while. And let me set the stage for this. This was weeks ago. Somebody had called and asked if we had Batman Year One in stock. And
reasonable request.
I'm like, well, wait, do you want hardcover, softcover? What do you want? So they wanted to know, and they wanted me to set it aside. I'm like, just buy it online.
Yeah, here's a link.
They're like, no, I'm sending someone in to buy it, but I need you to write this, and you need to give them a note. I'm going to dictate what you have to write down. You have to write this note down and give it to them with the book when they come in to buy it. Okay, they have to get this.
Have to. And
they were very demanding about
this. All sounds like way too much. Like, I didn't agree to this.
Yeah. So at first I was just like, I don't want to do this.
No.
But once they started dictating their note, I'm like, well, now I have to see this through.
Sure.
So
story.
As you can imagine, Dal, no one ever came in for the book.
Yeah. What a shock.
Yeah. But I'm
sure they ended up in a completely different comic shop and just bought it and then never heard a message in regards to it.
Well, here's what the note says. Good afternoon, and thank you for empowering our hybrid workforce in 6 to 12 months and reducing complexity.
Yep.
There you go. Somebody was supposed to get a thank you gift of Batman Year One.
I've never heard the themes of Batman Year One stated so succinctly.
Batman, of course, empowers hybrid workforces.
The hybrid workforce
in 6 to 12 months.
In this scenario, are cops who are then arrested. And the 6 to 12 months is how long they're in jail for.
Reducing complexity is, in fact, what Hollywood does now with TV shows.
Reducing complexity, Patrick, if you were to phrase it differently, would be solving riddles.
So it's a legitimate thing that television writers are now asked to write dumber stories.
Mm-hmm. Because people don't pay attention.
Because people are always on their phones while watching TV. So they have to be able to understand the show that is only a periphery experience.
I read a report recently where someone was talking about how Netflix writers had been given notes that basically assume that someone is folding laundry while this is happening. So people have to constantly be saying, essentially like a poorly written Chris Claremont comic, where people have to be saying what's going on in the panel.
Yeah.
Because the assumption is the people at home are not looking at the screen while things are going on, so a character has to tell you what is happening.
From personal experience, I know when I'm folding laundry, which I always do to music, but I can also do it.
I just fold laundry
with
I don't need a distraction.
While being not paying attention to it. It's just a manual. It's like drying dishes.
Sure.
It's just a thing you do. But when I'm on my phone, I'm kind of paying as much attention to my phone as I am to the TV, or more attention to the phone. So I don't know how much of the TV actually.
If I'm watching any narrative programming on television, be that a movie, a TV show, a YouTube video, whatever, if there's a narrative to it and I'm on my phone, I stop whatever I'm watching on the TV because clearly I'm not watching it.
Sure.
Like that, if I can't maintain my focus for this thing I'm watching on TV, I shouldn't be watching it. I clearly don't care.
Why don't you care?
Usually it's because the program is boring.
Oh, all right then.
Or poorly done, which makes it boring.
Well, Dal, I know I don't say this to you enough as a business partner and as a friend.
No, you're telling me you're meeting me a lot.
But
it's happened several times.
What I just want to say is good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for empowering our hybrid workforce in 6 to 12 months and reducing complexity.
You're welcome. I actually have worked to reduce complexity for a hybrid workforce.
Literally, if you take this whole thing, this is literally, it can be translated almost identically to challengers.
It does feel that way.
Directly.
We're constantly trying to reduce complexity.
I mean, it's a hybrid workforce because I'm working from home way more than before.
And
I have way more work to do at home.
On my days off, I'm always doing something from home too. There's always something I'm working on. I am very much a hybrid workforce.
Yeah, reducing complexity. I don't know that we try to for our end, but the industry doesn't allow for that.
Yeah, but I mean, our processes.
Yeah,
we are always trying to reduce complexity.
Yeah.
Usually, just little hacks and stuff if we can, or just things where it's like, why are we still doing this thing that we've been doing for 5 or 6 years? That our business has changed enough where we don't need to be doing this every week anymore.
Yeah, I've even started thinking about the way we do our monthly financials.
Yeah.
And because of how Shopify changes everything after the totals are done, because the totals aren't technically done.
Nope. They're never really done.
I thought, why do we do this weekly?
Sure.
All we need is monthly. And the reason we do it weekly is to know where we are weekly.
Yeah, I mean, basically you want to know money in.
Yeah.
That's what you want to know for a week. Everything else is kind of like, we do things like sales tax once a month. You don't need that every week.
We do need that every week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the general thing that we need to know is, do we have enough to pay bills this week? And if not, what bills can we pay this week? So you can't wait till the end of the month on that.
Nowadays, when I get to the end of the month, what I do is I do the month total, so we have it, and then go back and do the final week.
Sure.
Because the final week is less necessary when you get to the end of the month.
Yeah. As far as things like category totals and stuff like that, as in the sense of like, how much do we sell in Marvel comics? How much do we sell in toys? How much do we sell in supplies? Like, we definitely calculate that stuff on a regular basis and we try to understand it. But I think the amount of times during a year that we really reference those numbers, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's usually a thing where we will kind of feel like a category isn't performing well, and then we'll be like, well, let's see what's actually going on. And then we consult the numbers and we find out, okay, well, this compared to last year, this compared to other categories over the same period of time. And then we start to get a better sense of like, what do we need to be doing with our product mix? But even then, most of that is just anecdotal to start with. You just feel like, hey, I'm looking at the shelves and it feels like a lot of toys are not moving. Are we spending too much on toys? Are they not selling anymore? Or, boy, we don't seem to have any pins on the shelf. Are pins selling super fast? Should we stock up on pins? But it's not the sort of thing where every week or every month we're looking at it and going like, okay, how are different categories performing?
Now, ultimately, I'm not going to change how we do it, but it is a thing I think about.
Sure.
And I do think it's valuable to have the weekly information. But when it comes down to it at the end of the year, all I care about are the monthly totals.
Sure.
But yes, reducing complexity is a thing that we try to do all the time.
Yeah.
Where we can't usually do it is with, let's call them Diamond Comics.
Diamond Comic Distribution.
So one of the holdover topics from last week was Diamond's bankruptcy and annoyances. Because there's been so many Diamond annoyances lately.
It's pretty routine now. And I like we've mentioned earlier in the Diamond bankruptcy process, it doesn't really affect us a lot because we get very few comics from Diamond as it is. Toys and stuff, we get more from Diamond than we do other distributors, and a greater percentage of what we spend at Diamond is on non-comics merchandise than comics merchandise. So when there are delays, the amount of books it's affecting is so trivial that we kind of don't sweat it. They come in when they come in, and it's mostly for books that people aren't necessarily like banging down the doors to get. Occasionally someone will mention something like Space Ghost 10, and it's like, yeah, that technically should have come out this week. On a Wednesday when you're asking about it, when it should be on the shelves, it's actually in a box somewhere in UPS's shipping system because it hasn't gotten here yet.
One of the things that does bother me about that is consistently since late November, early December, we've been a week behind on Diamond.
Yep.
Fine. And for the first couple months, we're like, we don't care because everyone is. Now everyone isn't. A lot of stores are getting their books from Diamond on time.
Right.
We aren't.
Yeah, ours aren't even shipping out until like the night between the Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like overnight Tuesday, Wednesday, when again, everything else is on our shelves in people's subscriber boxes ready to go. The Diamond stuff isn't. And again, the majority of what we get from them is non-comic stuff, and that stuff doesn't really have release dates or street dates. We just put it on the shelves whenever it comes in. It's fine. So not getting a magnet or a Marvel Legend figure
Some pop vinyls.
the week that it's supposed to come out from Diamond already doesn't matter because it's probably been at other places already or it hasn't, and no one knows. And
No
they
one
see
knows
it on the
release
shelf.
dates for Marvel Legends or for Funko
Yeah.
Pops.
And none of that stuff, for the most part, is pre-ordered. We don't take pre-orders for Hasbro product because we can never guarantee we're going to get it in at all, let alone when we're going to get it in relative to its normal release date.
Boy, I hope we get that Doom helmet, though.
And then pop vinyls, like we'll occasionally get people who pre-order them, but very few and not a lot anymore. I think used to be more pre-orders for pop stuff, but now nobody cares.
And everybody got burned out. There's so many of them.
Yeah, like people will sometimes buy. We have a lot of casual people that like I just bought like 6 of them on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so we definitely want to stock them for the shelves, but there isn't that sense of like, I have to pre-order these upcoming ones. Mostly, I think, because when the pre-order window opens for a lot of this stuff, it's like, okay, cool. What Superman pop vinyl do you want? A, B, C, D, E, F, or G? Can't tell you what the characters are. Cannot show you what they look like. Pick them. So nobody does. And then we just order stuff when we actually know more information. And then people buy them off the shelf. Or they
And
don't.
lately, no matter how many pops you order from a series at one time, they come in waves, and they never fill. Like, you don't get all the waves.
Our Marvel Legends stuff is like that now, too.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily order full cases of stuff because we want to pick and choose like what we want more of or less of. We don't want to have to order 6 cases of figures just to get 6 Wolverines and then end up with 6 Titanias and 6 Beyonders. So we'll order, a bunch of Wolverines and a lower amount of everybody else, but that just means they all come in at different times. So we'll have the wave of Secret Wars, Marvel Legends, retro figures come out over like a 3-week period.
What's frustrating is that the current Spider-Man wave has been out for a while elsewhere.
Yeah.
We just haven't gotten them yet.
Nope.
The ones with Spider-Boy or Francine Fry or whatever.
Sure.
Traditionally, we'll order 1 case of figures just so we know that it's out, because we assume we'll get a case first.
Sure.
And then the singles later. But that's not always, no pun intended, the case.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of cases that we've ordered that like the Strange Tales. We ordered a full case of those, and then we ordered a bunch of like Moon Knight extras and 2 Brother Voodoos or whatever.
Sure.
We got the singles we ordered. We never got the full case.
Yeah.
But the only case we didn't order is this upcoming Spider-Man wave. That's all the
Game
video
Reverse
game
ones.
stuff.
Yeah, it's all the Spider-Man 2 ones. So I think we're getting the Black Cat and the black costume Peter Parker. But yeah, I don't think we were necessarily going to do like the Puerto Rican flag Miles Morales or the upgraded suit.
We went back and ordered those because somebody pre-ordered the Puerto Rican flag one. So I ordered 1 for the show.
And with our neighborhood, I think we can probably sell that. But like the upgraded suit, end of the game Miles suit, I don't think people care.
So the really frustrating thing for us with Diamond is that they don't follow the same patterns and routines they used to do, when you could look every Tuesday afternoon to see what the invoices would look like for the next day. They would post the invoices at 4 a.m. Central Time every Wednesday morning, and you'd know, okay, this is what I'm getting next week. Now they're posting...
Then, on top of that, then the following week you would get your books on Tuesday, and then they would go on sale on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That was the cycle. You could set your watch to it.
Now they post invoices randomly, and more than not, they're just shipping or returns. How many negative invoices I have, like negative dollar amount?
Yeah, we'll just get random ones where it's like, oh, here's the shortage you reported, and it's a negative amount. It's like, okay, what about all the books for next week? And there will be a pending this week CSV file that's slowly being built at Diamond, where you can look at it and it's like, here's stuff you'll be getting in. Maybe other stuff. Maybe not this stuff. Who knows? It's pending.
Several times in the last couple of months, we've tried to be proactive and be like, oh, this is what we're expected to get next week. Let me add it into the new release board we already have done, only to have those books not show up on time.
Right.
Last week, I specifically remember saying, wait a minute, I already have all these Diamond books on our list because those are the ones that were due out last week that we know we have for next week. But the invoices up for these early, so we'll be getting those. So let me add those in. Oh no, those books showed up today, Thursday.
Yep.
So obviously not available for yesterday's New Comic Book Day.
No, and I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but our policy internally is that anything that doesn't show up, I would say by noon on Wednesday, just goes on next week's new releases.
Yeah, we're just going to hold it because we're very customer packed at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays for the new books. And if books came in like Thursday, we put them on the shelf Friday. It's 2 days of people not seeing them. And if we take them off the new release wall next Tuesday to, they're done.
Make space, yeah.
No one will have ever, people will not have seen them because they look at the new release wall first.
Yeah.
For new releases, I know what a novel concept.
Yeah. So that's why, more than anything, I think that's one of the reasons why we're perpetually a week behind on Diamond, because Diamond isn't getting us our books by Wednesday, so they become next Wednesday's books. We feel is the only accurate way to get the most eyeballs on the product we get from them. Yeah, and again, it would be a different situation if we were getting more comic stuff from Diamond. If we were one of those stores that was getting every non-Lunar book or every non-DC book from Diamond, which are some accounts for sure, we would probably have to do the thing we've done in times past where books showed up super late from Diamond because they were our only distributor, and it's new books went on sale on Thursday this week. That's just when they went on sale. We weren't going to sit on 4 boxes of comics for a week. But it's another thing when it's 4 Dynamite books and 1 Boom book. It can wait.
So as far as all of their legal trouble goes and their bankruptcy, their Chapter 11 filings, all stores have been getting a lot of paperwork in the mail from them. And most stores, like us, have been getting them all in triplicate. 3 separate envelopes.
I wonder why.
Because one is addressed to challengers, to you and me.
Mm-hmm.
One is addressed to our legal business name and our doing business as name.
Okay.
So we get those 3.
Oh, 3. Okay.
So they filed Chapter 11 on January 29th, 2025. And a few weeks later, everybody got the official Form 309F1 for corporations or partnerships that amend a notice of Chapter 11 bankruptcy case. For the debtor listed above, the case has been filed under Chapter 11 of the Bankruptcy Code. An order for relief has been entered, and that is Diamond Comic Distributors, Inc., and all. Et al., if you prefer the
Et al.
French. The debtor's full name is Diamond Comic Distributors, Inc., plus Comic Exporters, Inc., Comic Holdings, Inc., Diamond Select Toys and Collectibles, LLC. And then it has attorney listings, and it is 2 pages and a little bit, mainly of just the...
when the hearings are going to happen, and if you want to contest anything or be a part of this process.
Proof of claim deadline.
Here's how you do it.
Exception to discharge deadline. Creditors within a foreign address.
Yeah.
Filing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy case. Discharge of debts.
Yeah.
So everyone got that, right?
Yeah. Basically required by law to notify anybody that could potentially object to this.
And I held on to this for a couple of weeks because I wanted to read it, and then we just kept bumping it because it wasn't really time sensitive.
Yeah, this is an ongoing process, and plus neither of us are lawyers.
But then this week, or I guess last week, everybody got 3 more 6 pages of the actual court filings, case 25-10308, Doc 159, filed February 18th.
On the docket.
In the United States Bankruptcy Court for the District of Maryland, Baltimore Division, in reference to Diamond Comic Distributors, Inc., et al., debtors, case number, I just read that, same case number, Chapter 11, jointly administered. So this is a notice of sale, bidding, procedures, potential auction, and sale hearing.
Yeah, this is the Diamond is being sold off for parts, and how you can participate in that process if you want to buy parts of Diamond.
And this is a 6-page document, legal document, all about how to file objections or important dates and deadlines, that contact people for parties interested in submitting a bid.
Right.
We are not bidding.
No, I don't really have much interest in owning part of Diamond. Although I guess if they're selling BPAs, I would just buy the BPA for the best kids comics. Just so we're done with that.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I don't think they're ever going to do BPAs again.
I don't think they can
They're going
afford
to have
to.
to close it out with
I
us
don't think
never
they can
winning,
afford to.
which is such a disappointment.
Uh-huh. The one regret from
so-
17 years of being in business.
So, Schedule 1 on the back, which lists all the businesses that are part of it, and we mentioned some before, but Diamond Comic Distributors, a division of Dead or Diamond Comics Distributors, Inc., that distributes comic books, graphic novels, toys, games, and other pop culture-related merchandise.
I'm familiar with their work.
Diamond Book Distributors distributes English-language graphic novels, manga, games, and merchandise. Alliance Game Distributors, board games, card games, role-playing games, miniatures, and other gaming products. Collectible Grading Authority, the CGA, which is professional evaluation, authentication, and grading services of vintage modern toys, video games, and other related collectible assets. Not comics, though. Interesting. Fandom World, a direct-to-consumer e-commerce platform offering a range of collectible merchandise.
Which is basically brand new. I think that's something that they started doing in the last couple of years.
Yeah. FreeComicBookDay.com, an annual promotional event where participating comic book stores give away free comic books to drive product awareness and attract new customers. Well, half right. Diamond Select Toys and Collectibles LLC, collectible toys and animated style statues based on licensed intellectual property from companies like Disney, Marvel, and Warner Brothers. Gentle Giant Limited, a division of Diamond Select Toys that manufactures collectible toys and statues based on licensed intellectual property from, among others, Disney and Marvel. Iron Guard Supplies, a division of Diamond Select Toys, ironically. Card supplies, comic supplies, and displays, including card binders, card sleeves, manga armor, backer boards, and comic bags.
Manga armor.
Comic Exporter Inc., a holding company that owns 50% of non-Dead or Diamond Comic Distributors UK, a distributor of comic books, collectibles, and related merchandise in the United Kingdom. Comic Holdings Inc., a holding company that owns 50% of non-Dead or Diamond Comic Distributors UK, so the other half. So Comic Exporter Inc. and Comic Holdings Inc. each own
50%
of Diamond Comics UK.
Yeah.
And lastly, can you guess? Diamond Comic Distributors UK,
Oh, there it is.
who distributes comic books, collectibles, and related merchandise in the United Kingdom. So there's 12 components that are part of this bankruptcy that Diamond owns or has a portion of.
I might have zoned out a little bit. Did you list Alliance?
Yeah, that was number 3.
Okay.
And what do? They distribute board games, card games, role-playing games, miniatures, and other gaming products. So, those are all the individual things that are up for sale or auction.
Everything that Diamond collectively has owned.
Yeah. It seems like they are basically looking to not be Diamond anymore.
Yeah, based on the amount of debt they had, they have to sell off a bunch of things to create enough value for the people that they owe money to. And that was only going to happen by basically breaking it off into parts. So for our purposes, the thing that is most necessary for us is the continued distribution of comics through Diamond Comic Distributors. The rest of it, I don't care who owns Fandom World. I barely care who owns FreeComicBookDay.com. I don't care who owns Iron Guard or Diamond UK or Alliance or Gentle Giant.
Do you remember
or
when
Diamond Select Toys?
Wizard had their own line of supplies called Rhino?
I don't. I honestly
Never
don't.
carried those. We did carry Iron Guard once recently because they had such a sale going on
I remember getting some card supplies from them.
that made it worthwhile for us. Well, these weren't Iron Guard. These were the
Comic Care.
yeah.
Yeah. Iron Guard we've gotten once or twice because I think I remember somebody ordering specific like card supplies or something that we were not normally stocking. So it's okay.
Yeah, so never mind. We didn't order Iron Guard, and I did not like Comic Care, and
No.
we regretted placing that order.
Pretty much.
And luckily got rid of the rest of those bags.
Yeah.
Not got rid of, but like...
But yeah, I mean, someone buying and owning and operating Diamond Comic Distributors is really what we're looking for out of this process.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And even if no one does, I imagine that Dynamite will find a new home.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who's left.
Titan.
I mean, again, Titan is the weird one because Titan's book distribution is done by Penguin Random House. I don't know why they're not doing the comic stuff, but I guess they just don't care.
Maybe they had a contract with Diamond, that's why.
But almost everyone who's got a contract now has gotten out of it. So if Titan is the only one who can't, that's really sad for Titan.
Maybe they've got a contract with Diamond UK.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would certainly prefer to see Diamond continue in its more or less current form out of the threat of bankruptcy. I don't know if it's going to happen.
No one knows.
Really, no one does know. That's true.
But we'll know more next month. I think April 1st is a deadline for a lot of it.
And I think in general, like, we'll find out more as the weeks go on. People will report stuff, or Diamond will have to say stuff. That's one of the things about Chapter 11 is this can't be opaque. It has to be super transparent. You are required by law, if you're filing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, to make a lot of this stuff public that normally you would not make public.
Next up, we're going to touch on how much we love getting spam, phone calls, emails, walk-ins of people that just all they care about is increasing our business, whether it be the landing page on our website or our Google Analytics.
Or taking a look at our electric bill.
Yeah.
They're just in the area. Okay.
I've started to get aggressive in my... Normally I would ignore these people, but ignoring just means, he didn't read it. Let me send it again and again and again.
Just wanted to bring this to the top of your inbox.
Things like that. Mm-hmm. But here's an email I liked so much I printed out. And it is such it's such bullshit. But we'll start with the subject matter is DTC podcast invite. Podcast and invite are lowercase. DTC is all caps. So we're going to do it in the order that I got it. So Monday, March 3rd is when I got this email from James we'll get to his company later, to me specifically, not the store, just to Patrick at Challengers Comics. Hi, Patrick. My colleague Amanda found you on LinkedIn when researching innovative e-commerce leaders and referred me to you. We thought you might be a perfect fit for the podcast we're producing, featuring e-commerce leaders navigating marketing, analytics, and growth. In the show, we would dive into your experience scaling challengers and specifically how you're handling challenges like attribution, rising CAC, and data-driven decision-making in 2025. Next to being an interesting chat, this could be a good opportunity to showcase your brand's innovative approach. Mind if I share more information? Best, James, Incendium AI.
Patrick, I don't think I've told you enough how much I appreciate you scaling Challengers Comics.
Thanks. Yeah, I can't explain to you how much I handle challenges like attribution.
Rising CAC.
Rising CAC.
Oh my God. If I have to hear you talk about rising CAC one more time.
First of all, this podcast is COC, Contest of Challengers. Nowhere in here does he mention the name of his podcast.
Nope.
The header says
Talk about
DTC
a brand.
podcast invite. Yeah. I don't know what...
DTC usually means direct to consumer. So I don't know what that would mean in this context.
Yeah, unless that's the name of their podcast. Direct to consumer podcast.
Which it's not a great podcast.
No. I don't know what rising CAC is, so I don't know how I deal with it.
I'm going to look it up now. It's rising CAC.
Also, I know
is it all caps CAC?
Yes. I know what attribution means as a word. I don't know what it means in this context. Now, I'm sure there's people listening who understand all of these, but don't forget, I don't have a degree in business.
CAC, what it is, why it's rising, and why marketers should care. Okay.
I think it's caca.
A great way to start aligning your paid ad strategies and marketing efforts with your finance team's need for cost efficiency is to familiarize yourself with customer acquisition cost.
Oh,
CAC.
I thought it was customer... Wait, what was where you just said?
Acquisition? Customer acquisition?
No, in the line before that.
Your finance team's need for cost efficiency?
Yes, I thought it was cost efficiency.
Efficiency.
I'm sorry, can you repeat again what it actually is?
I don't say evasion, I say avoision. Marketers don't typically think about CAC on a regular basis until they reach a company leadership level, but it's a business metric that leaders understand well.
Whoa, I am a leader in this company. What was CAC again?
Customer acquisition cost.
I have to write that down.
Sure.
Now, explain to me what customer acquisition cost is.
I mean, basically, the customer acquisition cost is how much do you have to spend in things like marketing to acquire a customer. So usually, customer acquisition costs are things like at a
Can you spell acquisition, please? That's one of the words I can never spell.
I believe
because it's like C's and Q's.
I believe it's ACQ. ACQ UIS ITION. So a platform like Spotify would have a customer acquisition cost that would be like $5 or $10 or $20 or whatever.
Okay.
And so you're trying to figure out like, how much is it costing me to get a customer, and then how much does that customer spend over the duration that they're my customer? So am I spending too much to acquire customers, too little? Like,
Now can you tell me what attribution means in this context?
I'm going to say, so attribution is a tricky one because that's just like a regular ass word.
That's true.
I'm just going to get a definition for it.
Why don't you do handling challenges like attribution?
I'm just going to do attribution marketing.
I'm going to attribute this marketing to these people.
Marketing attribution, what it is, tools to use and best practices. Marketing attribution is the process of determining which marketing actions help drive leads or sales. So in our instance, it would be like if we were doing ads on Google, YouTube,
Instagram,
Facebook, Instagram, which of those is performing the best?
Uh-huh. So what you're saying is that is data-driven decision-making.
Mm-hmm. What I'm telling you is that everything they're telling you is specific internet marketing jargon.
Yeah.
Because they're an internet marketing company and they're trying to get you to appear on a podcast, which is basically just them pitching you on their products.
So this is such a professional and legitimate invitation that the email that James sent me,
good old James,
springboards off of the email his colleague Amanda sent to him.
Mm-hmm. Because
so
Amanda was looking on LinkedIn,
yeah,
and saw you as someone who can speak to things like rising CAC and attribution.
So he took Amanda's email and forwarded it to me.
Yeah. So you'll
even though the subjects have completely changed, fine. From Amanda to James, subject: reach out to Patrick podcast guest.
Ooh.
James, I was looking for possible candidates for the podcast and came across Patrick. They're dealing with the exact challenges our audience wants to learn about: making sense of marketing data, scaling efficiently, managing multiple platforms. This looks like someone who'd add real value. Definitely worth reaching out. Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda.
Doesn't say...
Thanks for seeing the diamond in the rough that is Patrick at Challengers Comics.
It's true I've been far more active on LinkedIn recently, but not because I'm looking for a job now, don't worry. That's not what LinkedIn is anymore. LinkedIn is just another social media site.
Oh, like Bumble. Patrick, are you using LinkedIn to...
Anyway, so so I like that Amanda tells James that I'm a good podcast guest just by using my first name, not my full name, not my company.
It's because you
not my industry.
Challengers to such a high level that they can just say Patrick, and they know who that is. Obviously, Patrick from Challengers.
Also, every time somebody uses the word challenges in an email to Challengers and doesn't say Challengers, I think they're missing an opportunity.
Seriously.
Just put like a little parentheses R at the end of it.
Yeah, little parentheses.
Little RS. Because both James and Amanda.
They both missed it.
Reach out to Patrick.
You should mention this on the
guest.
podcast with them.
Oh, I should. On our Down to Commerce podcast. That's what the DTC stands for, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, of course, I did not respond to James nor Amanda.
Oh, shucks.
Oh, also, as far as the forwarded messages go, there's no email address from Amanda in it. You know, usually it'll say...
Maybe she just wrote it in his email. And then he filled in the top.
In the forwarded part?
She wrote forwarded message and everything else, and then just shared it with him to write the top
he
part.
took his sweet time because she sent this to him on March 1st at 9:22 a.m., and he didn't email me until March 3rd at 10:49 a.m.
Wow, unprofessional.
Yeah, 2 days.
That's it.
2 days we could have recorded this podcast and
their listeners could have been learning about your like incisive views on rising CAC and attribution and data-driven analytics. Business numbers.
This is a comics industry business podcast, and if anybody is qualified to talk about it, it's you, me, James, and Amanda.
You can just talk to James and Amanda on your own. As always, I can step back.
No, I'm sorry. You have a contract.
You?
Yeah.
First I'm hearing about it.
Okay, so lastly, I would like to bring up some books that we both read recently.
We did.
That we didn't talk about last week.
I, this morning, was looking to see if there were any new books that I could read, and of course there are not.
You looked at the wrong time because they now have the new Resurrection Man 1, 2, excuse me, and 3.
No, they had those up before.
Oh, no, I just saw them today.
They were up last night.
Oh, okay.
I am okay not reading them.
Oh, okay.
I'll be all right. I did read the Leonardo Romero silent issue for the upcoming G.I. Joe Silent Missions 5 one-shots. It's the Spirit one.
Okay.
It's good. I mean, it's Leonardo Romero just drawing stuff and writing stuff, but he's not using dialogue, and it looks great, but it's a G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, Larry Hama stuff, so I already kind of don't care. And then it's specifically Spirit, who I've never had like a huge connection to or fondness with.
I thought that was the name of Snake Eyes' wolf.
No, that's Timber.
So Spirit is a ghost.
No, Spirit's a Native American tracker.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant because he's a government agent, like he's a ghost, he's a spook, he's a Fed, whatever.
No, I don't know if he's a federal agent. I don't know how G.I. Joe works.
Okay. I needed a third.
Yeah.
That's why I said Fed. I didn't believe in Fed.
Sure.
But I didn't want to end on
spook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for filling that in when I didn't want to say it a second time.
You're welcome. Taking the words out of your mouth. But we did read a bunch of stuff over the last week.
Well, I only have 2 books that
what did you read,
I was going to
Patrick?
bring up, and these are absolutely the last 2 books I want to talk about.
Wink.
We already talked about Absolute Flash previously. You did. I hadn't read it. I have read it since then.
Yeah.
But the other 2 Absolute books, Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter.
Yes. Which will be coming out in subsequent weeks.
Yes.
Again, I think we mentioned Absolute Flash is coming out March 19th, and then I believe it's Martian Manhunter the week after that, and Green Lantern the week after that.
So, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern first, written by Al Ewing.
Mm-hmm. John O. Lindsay.
It is... All these books are a new take on these characters, these heroes, what have you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing across the board for all 6 books is that what I appreciate most about them is that they feel dangerous in what they're doing.
Yeah.
Not dark necessarily, but just taking chances on stuff that doesn't feel like it needs to tie into a movie or a TV show or whatever. It just feels like it's its own thing, and I really like that.
And when
that
you
energy is great.
When you get someone like an Al Ewing who is most likely a walking encyclopedia of whatever company he's working for.
Yes.
We always joke that he's the only person inside Marvel Comics who's read every Marvel comic.
I don't know. There was a thing, I was reading Doctor Strange of Asgard. Derek Landy wrote it. And there's a reference to like what feels like a pretty late issue of like the original Doctor Strange run where he did something in Asgard in like issue 380 something. And I'm like, wow, that's a pretty weird deep cut. Did you read all of the Doctor Strange Asgard issues from the original run just in case there was something you could leverage?
And I joked that the most recent issue of Fantastic Four was Ryan North's way of saying, no, I read every issue of the Rainbow Roll of She-Hulk.
Speaking of Rainbow Rowell, as a quick aside, did you hear the announcement today that there was going to be a new Rainbow Rowell Runaways One World Under Due miniseries?
Oh, no, I did not.
Yeah. It's coming out in June.
Okay. Won't June be over by then? No,
it's 9 parts.
9 parts,
no,
yeah.
It's going to be for a while.
I think just monthly, so yeah. Because 2 is out on the 19th. So, a guy like Al Ewing is going to have high concepts, and he does take the idea of Green Lantern and mess with it.
Yes.
It's a good concept. It's a fun concept. It takes characters and elements and puts them all together right away.
Yeah, and one of the cool things that Absolute Green Lantern does is kind of like what worked really well in stuff like Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman is that you have an expectation of what the core concept is. And this is a writer coming in and going, that is not the core concept. The core concept is something else, and I'm going to show you what it is.
Yeah.
So the things that you think have to happen to give it a parallel, what if the spider doesn't bite Peter Parker? Like, what is the next thing that could happen? Like, what happens
like
instead of that?
he goes up and marries Mary Jane and his kids.
And then he has a midlife crisis.
Yeah, there you go.
It's great. I like Ultimate Spider-Man quite a bit. It's one of the few books I still read.
Sure.
I really love it.
So the story and the concept of Absolute Green Lantern, excellent.
Yes.
The art is the negative.
Dodgy.
It looks unfinished.
Not my favorite part.
It feels very loose manga inspired.
If you look at some of those how to draw manga books where it feels like an American trying to like reverse engineer what manga is, that's kind of what Janoy Lindsay's art looks like. It looks like the kid who's been reading a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen and is like, I can draw that. Like, well, maybe not yet.
Nick Simmons?
Maybe.
However, on the other hand, there's Absolute Martian Manhunter, which is just a visual tour de force.
Oh my god. If you've been reading anything that artist has been doing on like Zatanna, Bring Down the House, or the Defender stuff with Al Ewing. It's gorgeous. It's so good.
Yeah, it is definitely a trip.
Yeah.
It's written by Denise Camp, who's currently doing Ultimates,
Yep.
and the Assorted Time Crisis, which comes out this upcoming week, which is getting crazy good reviews from a lot of people. And we were given the first 4 issues from Denise Camp directly. And I read the first one. The issues 2, 3, and 4, I think 5 is available now as well, were uncolored.
Okay.
So I didn't quite read those. But
I usually don't want to get that far ahead if the book isn't done yet. It's like, give me the first issue that's done, and then I will read the rest when it comes out.
Assorted Time Crisis is akin to Ice Cream Man. Oh, sorry. I said it wrong multiple times. Yeah. Assorted Crisis Events. Sorry. I'm not going to...
Patrick, you and I were talking about this as the story the other day, that there's a bunch of Image books that are coming out with semi-complicated titles or long titles or both. And our ability to remember them accurately is going to be tested.
Well, there's that one new Matthew Rosenberg, Tyler Boss book called We're Taking Everyone Down With Us As You Do Bad Things.
Yes. That would just be easier if you could just make it one run-on sentence. That would be awesome.
Assorted Crisis Events is akin to Ice Cream Man, and each series is a standalone story, but it all takes place in an overarching, connected story.
Mm-hmm.
The first issue
or
is
like
oversized.
The Black Orchard, One Orchard Mythos, where it's the same thing, where it's like, this is a creative team and they're doing one story, but that story has a bunch of individual
But
parts.
Theirs are much longer form stories.
Right.
These are single issues. You even said how much you liked the art in the first issue.
I really did. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, the art in Assorted Crisis Events through time is great, and it's a real fun story.
Sure.
I haven't read 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but you definitely want to look at that. But anyway, Denise Camp is doing Absolute Martian Manhunter, and it is once again the idea of the Martian Manhunter that you know, but turned on its head.
Yeah, it's a really good, weird kind of cosmic horror take on like a show like Mindhunter, which I think was the name of that. Yeah. Where it's
Jonathan Groff as
it's like FBI
profiler.
It's like FBI profiling, but kind of telescoped it out to like profiling humanity.
Not Mindhorn
or Manhunter,
which is the guy from Mighty Boosh who's not Noel Fielding.
Okay,
who's a retired TV actor who played like a Magnum PI type of guy, but there's a criminal who in the real world who thinks that Mindhorn was a real cop and will only deal with him. So Mindhorn has to come out of acting retirement to play that character again.
Perfect.
In the real world.
Nice.
Mindhorn. Which is what I think of every time someone says Mindhunter.
Yep. Well, luckily no one's going to say it ever again, probably, unless it's in reference to our Absolute Martian Manhunter. I like Absolute Martian Manhunter a lot. I think, again, the art is so good and so compelling.
2 words, Dal. Martian Vision.
Martian Vision. Javier Rodriguez is the artist, and it is beautiful. And I thought the story was solid. I did like it. I'm on record as being not a huge Denise Camp guy. I bounced off of Ultimates pretty quickly, although that is a book that people keep telling me they love and is great.
I still read it, but I am 3 behind.
And I thought Absolute Martian Manhunter was super solid.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah. Spider-Boy 17 came out this week.
Okay.
Not today.
Okay. 17?
Not 17. I'm sorry. What was it? 7? Maybe 7.
Okay.
I don't know. Was it? It's not 17. Well, this ruins it, but let's say it was issue 7.
Okay.
Spider-Boy 7 came out this week.
Okay.
Can you tell me how many issues behind I am on Spider-Boy?
7.
17.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot.
Because I haven't read the 10 issues of Spider-Man that leads into it.
Oh, golly, that's a lot.
Yep.
That's a whole lot. And then, is that it for the Absolute books?
Yeah, we talked about Flash already.
We did. Did you talk about what you thought of Flash?
Yeah, we already talked about that. Okay. You did, but I mean, I didn't. But
okay.
Your take is same as mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. It's definitely younger. I don't know why it happens, but I fall off of every Jeff Lemire book.
Okay.
I fell off of Tenement.
Mm-hmm. Phantom Road, I'm sure.
Phantom Road. Yeah, I fall off of everything he does. And I only read like the first 2 of the current JSA.
Mm.
And I like Minor Arcana. For some reason, they just don't.
Not very sticky with you.
I don't feel the urge to. Well, look, those are books I don't buy. I just read.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't go out of my way to take one home, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, honestly, I thought you would do better with that because I feel like the ones
you take one home.
you don't read are the ones that you buy because you're like, well, I own this. I can read this whenever I want.
Yeah.
But stuff you borrow is like, no, it's got to go back to the store right away.
Yeah.
Which is honestly, I think, why I do so well with weekly books compared to you is I don't buy anything. So I'm like, this has to be on the shelves on Wednesday. Like, I got to read it.
Ask me how many Miles Morales Spider-Mans I'm behind.
Oh, no, I won't.
I don't even know the answer. It's definitely double digits.
Oh, God.
It's a ton. And I remember...
You know enough to see his costume on the cover and go, I don't like that new costume.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
His vibranium suit.
Yeah, so that's the Absolute books. And I will point out, I talked with Aubrey Stitterson this week about...
Free Planet?
Free Planet. God, I want to say Lost Planet, but that was wrong.
Assorted Planet Events.
Free Planet, which is his upcoming Image book, which is basically the concept is the title. It's a planet that is 100% free. The people are not oppressed. They are free. But what does that mean in their world, and how do you keep it free moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
And it is a book he's been working on for over 2 years. The first six issues story arc is completely done, so everything will ship on time. And I'm embarrassed to say that he did give it to me in advance, and I did not read it before we talked.
Oops.
I've read his emails about it. I've read the self-sheets he's given. I've read the quotes from Robert Kirkman and Daniel Warren Johnson. I just have not read the book itself. Also, I have not read the 2 issues of Battle Beast we were given.
Oh, no.
I haven't read Family Force 5 yet that we've been given, and it's getting rave reviews.
Great.
I'm behind in all of my reading.
Yay.
But I've read those Absolute books, and I will get to Resurrection Man.
Okay.
So there we go. We have absolutely come to the end of this episode. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.